Welcome to the Bringing Simplicity podcast, where launches come to life. I'm Judy, the co-host and co-owner of Bringing Simplicity. I've been helping businesses build their launch processes for hypergrowth by simplifying sales and hiring. I'm committed to your success through leveraging your people and systematizing for scale.
I'm Greta, co-host and co-owner of Bringing Simplicity. I've been helping businesses launch successfully for over a decade by multiplying their results through simple processes. I'm a data lover and technology lover who obsesses over every KPI. So grab your laptops and lattes and get ready to launch with simplicity. Hey, welcome back to the podcast. Today we're going to talk about why your launch team matters. Of course, we're a little bit partial, but we're going to hit you with the real because we've done them ourselves. We've seen what it feels like to do a launch without support. Sometimes when you do a launch without support, you end up sending out the wrong Zoom link to 400 people because you didn't have anybody to check your work.
And we know that there are multiple people who have done this. So yes, we are biased towards a launch team, obviously, if you check out any of our content and website. But we want to make a bigger impact, and our show is about the shortcut to profits. We would be doing you a disservice if we didn't talk about a way to shortcut that. And one of those ways is certainly having a launch team in place. And now it doesn't have to be a large team. It doesn't have to be, too many people. We don't mean like an entire football team full of people on your team, right? We're not talking about team sizes that large. But there are certain team members that I believe are necessary for a launch, besides obviously you yourself as the coach or the mentor fulfilling whatever product or service program that you're selling. Besides you as the owner, the face, the brand of your business, there are certain team members that we believe, and then again, I'm using team members plural, but one team member could do multiple roles that we're going to talk about. But there are certain roles where these are unnecessary for your first launch, and to have a successful 100K launch usually is where we end up with our prices and things like that. So, Greta, who do you believe is a key member of the team or one of the roles that this person needs to hold for a launch?
I mean, I personally think you can't survive without somebody who understands the tech and automation piece. And I think for most entrepreneurs or solopreneurs, that's likely not their area of expertise. But because a launch often requires that things are functioning properly at a very specific point in time, winging that or having it be like, oh, I'll figure it out as I go is something where like you're almost guaranteeing that you'll have some sort of failure because tech always fails. And so if you don't have somebody on your team who really understands the back end of whatever system you're using and how to make sure emails are going out at the right time, like all of the links are programmed properly, just the automation side of things, I think you've pretty much automatically set yourself up for failure.
100%. And I would say someone that not only knows tech and automations, by the way, because I know of them, but has, like Greta, has been able to properly execute them and execute them at a level that is even 10 times what maybe you even want in your business, right? Which means they're anticipating, they're proactively testing, quality assuring. And by the way, if you want 10 people to join your program, and if you're a good closer, you're probably closing 20% of your leads, right?
But let's be honest, most entrepreneurs, I mean, even us included, aren't going to close 20%.
Yeah, no,
on their first launch.
Aren't going to. But let's say you are. Let's say you are a good closer. Think about how many people you have to connect with and talk to. And one thing that you wouldn't know being an entrepreneur before you talk to someone who is in tech is that you can't just send 200 text messages your very first day. of starting a high level. You can't. They won't let you. Okay. So knowing just even that small piece of advice, because people will come to us and say, "Hey, I want to launch like tomorrow." And like, well, you can, awesome. You can send a text message to 20 people today. So how are we going to do that? Even having that knowledge will speed up your ability to have your launch, right? Greta, what do you think, besides having that peace of mind, what a launch team gives you in a bigger picture? Like having a launch team and a small one, what does it give them as an entrepreneur who is about to launch a program?
I feel like I could probably talk for the next hour just on what you get from having a team behind you. I think if I was gonna narrow it down to, like, 1 to 2 things, I think it's a pretty common sentiment that as entrepreneurs, we wear all the hats, right? Like, we did not get into business as marketing experts. We did not get into business as copywriters. We did not get into business as graphic designers. We did not like, we have gotten to a point where most of us are fairly proficient in each of those things, but the amount of time that it takes us to do them, and not only time, but like mental space, right? To know that you have that long of a to do list to do is not to be like pushed to the side. Like that is a lot on an entrepreneur. And so I would say one of the biggest pieces that I see in the entrepreneurs that we work with is it's almost like a deep breath out, because it's like, we've got this stuff handled. Now you get to focus on your presentation, your course that you've been dreaming of, and maybe put some pieces in place, but like you had to get to all of this before you could do that. And so it gives them the time and the space to be able to focus on the stuff that like ultimately really matters. Obviously, like all of the launch pieces matter as well. But in the grand scheme of things, if we think about sales as a service, how my landing page looks is not sales as a service. That's just a necessary evil. Well, it's not evil, but you know what I mean. It's just a necessary step or task to tell people about what it is that you're selling that will be a service to your audience. And so I think for me, like that's more than peace of mind. It's giving them time and space to focus on the stuff that truly matters.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree, because all of that stuff is going to happen regardless behind the scenes, like you said. And I see that, like, once we come on and we say, "Hey, so and so is gonna be like, they're gonna build all of the automations. We're gonna have the copywriter write all of this copyright for these pages and these emails, and all you have to do is review it and give us your approval to make sure it's in your voice." And because that's the main thing, right? Is finding that team member, and which we're really good at when we meet with our client, to figure out, hey, what's the voice that you have? What's the brand that we're building here? So that way we can hire the team to surround you, or assemble the team that we already have, because we have a pretty good team right now that we can just, tie into. These are the team members who we think align with what your goal is for your company and your brand. And then they just like drop and they're like, I don't have to do all of the things. You mean I don't have to respond to every DM? I don't have to respond to every text. And let's be honest, that's the last thing that you want to be doing when you're about to deliver a 90-minute webinar live. The last thing you wanna be doing is answering a bunch of messages saying, "Where's the Zoom link?" Like, or, "Hey, I'm in the waiting room," or even in the chat, like, "When am I gonna get this free resource?" Or tracking attendance and tracking data, and what, show rates, and when do they fall off, and all things like that. That is not where your focus should be at all. Your focus and energy needs to be certainly on your clients and customers that you're looking to serve. And they feel that. Like, if you show up after, like, and you're exhausted because you just spent a whole day building a, a mini chat funnel, which I'm not sure any CEO should be doing that. I would say please stop doing that if that's something that you're doing. Please hire that out. You can outsource that very easily. Um, they're going to feel that when you come in on the call. And I'm guessing that, unless that's part of your coaching program, I'm guessing that's not something that you're teaching those clients or customers that you're trying to acquire. So what is the other team member that you think is needed?
It's so interesting because I do think part of it is, like, what do you enjoy doing and what do you not enjoy doing? Because I would say, like, a conversion copywriter is somebody who's, like, super important to the launch team because they understand, like, the psychology behind how we position things or how we say things. For example, we had a conversation yesterday on, the difference between buy one, get one free and 50% off. Like, it's literally the same, but it's been proven that buy one, get one is, like, more effective for sales. And so somebody who, again, has that experience, has done a ton of landing pages, is spending all of their time studying and learning the psychology behind sales. You might be an awesome writer, but it doesn't mean you understand how to craft a sales page. So again, speeding up that process, and we aren't saying, because I mean, Judy will tell you, and like I said, we probably will do a full episode on delegating, and it will be fun to look at the difference between me and Judy's personalities. I 100% can understand if your heart starts racing right now and you're like, but nobody writes like me. Nobody gets my audience. Nope. Well, guess what? You're speaking to a cold audience. They don't know you. And our goal is to get it as close to your voice as possible, but in a way that motivates sales because you ultimately want them to really come into your world and get to know you. And so you may be doing yourself a disservice by writing your own copy. I think everything we say in this is going to have an asterisk. If you've sent emails and you've gotten a ton of purchases off of a cold audience, like we're not going to tell you you need to use our copywriter. We're going to work with you. So, I feel like the tech and the automation is, like, the one I felt really strongly about. But copywriting would be another one. Graphic design, I don't think any CEO should be spending any amount of time creating social media graphics or workbooks for either their 90-minute event or, like, the course themselves, like, not a good use of your time. Even if you love doing it, just not a good use of your time.
Agree.
Um
Yeah, and I think and you're right, Greta, like, there are people on here saying, "Ugh, but, like, I know what I want, I have a design." I'm one of those people that, like, I'll just be like, "I don't know how to communicate what I want design-wise," right? Like, I don't know, I just don't like that. I just don't like that, and that doesn't look good to me. But, like you said, that's what our team does. Our team goes into businesses, learns their voice, learns their brand, and makes it we have some clients that love a bunch of text and different and a variety, and then we have other clients that, like, only wanna use images of, themselves, and then we have other clients who just like straight graphic, like, posts where they don't want any images of themselves. That's okay, and that's part of communicating that, but as long as you're communicating that, think about how much more time you would have to develop on the delivery, or if you are creating content for your members, or maybe recording videos for ads, things like that, of how much time you could be saving and how many more people you could impact. I think that's the other thing about having a launch team is you've probably been trying this on your own and have maybe helped like 10 people. But imagine having a team behind your back and all of a sudden that 10 goes to 100 people in the same time frame. How amazing would that be to be able to impact those people? Having a launch team, having a strategy, it doesn't have to be us. Having any launch team that you go to or a person that you go to be able to help you with your launch is going to, yes, get you to quote unquote market faster. But in our opinion, the shortcut to profits is the shortcut to impact on all of the people that you're able to help. Just think about like those people who are missing out on your product and service because you're not putting yourself out there quick enough. And I don't mean to put out there messy and quick. That's why we say have a launch team who are experts in their area because they live and breathe whatever role that they're in and they do it very, very well and they obsess over it. Like we have people on our team who are so obsessed, sometimes almost too obsessed with like the smallest tweaks to like graphics. And I'm like, it's not that deep. Let's get
but it is for them because they care
but
that
it
much.
is for them. Yes, because they do care that much. So let somebody care for you and with you while you can focus your caring and your energy on this other item to be able to fulfill.
And again, I mean, I think I like to pull it back to, like, actual client experiences just so that you can hear that it's like stuff we do. This morning we had some worksheets for one of our clients. And one thing that our team knows is that you don't just present one option, right? Like, then it's like, oh my God, if I like it, awesome. But if I don't, what do I do? Especially because like they needed it for tonight. So I was, of course, not surprised, but super proud of the team because they had three separate options. And this is a client we've worked with for a long time. And she was like, I love how your team knows me now because they know that I'm going to want it completely symmetrical. And I'm like, yes, yes, we obsess about the symmetry. Like we have like like measurements to make sure it's symmetrical, right? That didn't happen necessarily overnight. So that's another thing to think through is it's okay to provide feedback and you want to be providing feedback, whether it's graphics or something else. The goal is not to take you out of the equation. The goal is for you to provide the vision. Somebody creates it and then you review and provide feedback because it's only going to get better with each iteration. And so the very first worksheet we did was like, to quote one of our favorite clients, so, like a 5 out of 10, 6 out of 10, right? And I would say, like, now we're at, like, a 9 out of 10, only because I don't think perfection exists, right? But she was able to look through and see the 3, and she was like, "I know why she created each of these based on feedback I've provided in the past."
Mhm.
Um, so that was, like, huge. I thought of another person that you definitely should hire out for,
Yeah.
and that is your ad strategist and your media buyer. Because I will say I've spent a good amount of time taking courses on ad strategy. I've worked with media buyers now for like the last 2 years, so I've kind of gotten to hear the inner workings of how their brains work when they're, buying the ad space and stuff. It's taken time. It is not something that, like, I was able to learn overnight, like, "Ooh, this will work 100%." Like, there is always more to learn. We have one ad campaign that's going right now. Our cost per lead is a little bit high. So, like, we're gonna spend time brainstorming through today, like, based on past successes, what are some tweaks we have to make in order to get that cost per lead down? If this is your very first time running ads, you are not going to know alternative strategies to get your cost per lead down. And if you want to talk about shortcuts to profits, ads is it, right? Like you want to make sure your message gets in front of your people, like ads is it. Uh,
Yeah.
and there are courses out there. There are even ones that we would recommend that we have affiliates for that are a great starting out point. But if you are expecting your ads to be successful, you cannot do it on your own the first time.
No. No, 100%. I mean, and that's another thing for us, right? Even though we know ads, we know strategy, we know what all of these things mean, ROAS, CPL, CPM, like, cost per impressions, like all of these items, we still have ads team members, media buyers on our team to be able to support us because having another set of eyes. I mean, the reason why Greta and I are in business together is because doing business sometimes sucks a lot, like 90% of the time. Maybe I'm just exaggerating. Uh, that's right. Whatever, like Tony Robbins says, whatever season you're in, the season that you're depends on the season that you're in. Either way, during the down seasons and the successful seasons, it's nice to be able to celebrate, but also to have another set of eyes. Somebody else has your back, right? Somebody else is looking out for you and is able to, again, obsess over that data and look and see, like, oh my goodness, what is going on here? This is creeping up. These are, like Greta said, these are alternatives that we have done and have worked in. I mean, think about if you're a coach on here, you're probably an expert in your area. And think about how many other experts you probably go to. Like if you're a photographer, if you're in real estate, like you probably have talked to at least 100 other people, right? And so if you were to combine how much business those 100 other people have combined, that's the knowledge that you're bringing to the table. And that's the
Right.
same thing for us, right? Like we have worked with ads managers, media buyers that have worked in $100 million companies. Imagine how much an ad spend they're spending each week. Again, it stresses me out a little bit. But when I go and I ask them about this problem we have with our cost per lead, sometimes they'll just laugh. They'll be like, oh, no, that's not that big of a problem. Or it is. And these are things that we've done when we were at
Right.
that level, right? So you're not just hiring an ads manager or a media buyer who is excellent in their craft, you're hiring their network essentially because the ads network, in my opinion, Greta, like the media buyer and ads network is a very like small community and
Yeah, it is kind of a small community.
it is pretty small, and, like, you don't like, these are people that like to hide, okay? You don't know who's running their app, right? Like, you don't know like, they want to hide from everybody. They
Yeah.
typically are introverts and do not like, they are not the face of any company, and they don't wanna talk to you. They don't wanna know. So they're hiding, but we know where they are. And we talk to them. And you probably, if you are someone who is fortunate enough to have come across a media buyer or an ads manager, we would consider ourselves ads managers. If you would consider like a title around ourselves, we have media buyers on our team, but we are certainly the ads managers that are doing the strategy and all of the items working with the media buyers. But if you are fortunate to have people like that who have ran those, hang on to them because they are a tight circle to get into. It's hard to get in there, but once you're in, you have a plethora of knowledge and have the confidence to run ads over and over and over again. If anyone tells you that you don't have to run ads, it's true, you don't. You do not have to run ads to be able to have a successful or a multi-million dollar company, but you're going to get there so much slower if you do not add that add that's hard to say. Add
Ad
in to add paid ads in to your
your
marketing
strategy.
strategy. Yeah.
Agree. You're also just gonna be able when we talk about in the beginning, the iterations, if you think about ad copy, ad headlines, ad graphics, that a lot of times ties into your bigger message. And so if you think about being able to get like quick return on, is this what my audience, is this their pain point? Is this what's gonna motivate them? You can spend 150 bucks and see who's clicking what and be like, "Ooh, okay. So this is definitely the pain point. I'm gonna make sure or this is the solution they're searching for." You could go either way.
Mhm.
Um, but you're gonna get that information way faster than if you had, 50 networking calls, which we still think you should have networking calls, but it's gonna take you time to get through 50 networking calls. You could spend $100 in 24 hours and get that information back.
Yeah. 100%.
Okay, another key person on our team, and this could be combined in with one of the other ones, although I think that there is a benefit to the way that we structure it. And that is somebody whose sole job is to look for typos, things that don't make sense to like your average viewer. We typically have the person who is doing that type of quality assurance. They are not involved in the building of the page. They are not involved in the writing of the copy. They have very little knowledge of even what it is that you do specifically. And that is because we want it to be that if a completely cold person from the outside world comes to your page, are they going to understand what you want them to do and what they are going to get out of it? And was that clearly communicated in a way without typos? Do we think that pages are okay with typos? Sure. Like, we're not here on like this perfection boat. Like, I'm sure we still have typos. So don't call me out and be like, you have somebody check for typos, but I see this typo here. Of course, we still have typos.
Yeah.
Um, we do find, and I mean, I guess I could speak for myself. If I am the person who is writing the page and I am the person who is building the page, I very rarely will see the typos because our brains literally will just like transpose it to the word that you meant to say. And we do typically have 2 to 3 people check for just straight grammatical, but we have one specific person on our team who is really good at being like, "I think you guys were trying to say this, but like this is what it sounds like from the outside world." And we're like, "Ooh, we might wanna like rethink the way that's worded."
Mhm. 100%. Like Greta said, they usually check everything, and it helps because you're trying to talk to a cold audience, but we also, like, want it to be a no-brainer that they know what it is that you do, and that we set you up as an expert. Because that's one thing that we're always trying to do is very much to a cold market. We wanna set you up as the expert as soon as possible to become, industry expert in your area, and we can't do that if people have to, like, go through 5 different funnels to really learn what it is that you do. That's
Yeah,
not
and if you wanna set that up in your team, we have just like a really straightforward Word document that we send to the person that's like, "What is this person selling? what are they asking you to do? So, like, what's the CTA? Do they want you to join the webinar? Do they want you to download the opt-in? Like, she kind of knows what it is that, like, we're trying to get her to tell us what the CTA is. Like, was the message clearly communicated? Was there additional text that could be removed? Because remember, clear and concise really matters, especially on that first opt-in page. So we're always looking for what can we remove? And then were there any typos that you saw? And she'll just screenshot and then tell us what it should be. It ends up usually being like a 2-page document once she's input her screenshots and any feedback. And like anything else, we get to decide if we're gonna listen to what she said or be like, nah, you're too cold. Like, we think the audience will get it. More times than not, if we don't take her advice, we wish we had.
Yeah, 100%. And this is another way to test not only are we delivering the right message, but sometimes it's the technical aspects too. We will have them go in, opt in. Did you get the text message? Did you get the email that was sent? Like, how soon did you get it? It was confusing to get the email and the text at the same time. Is it mobile friendly? Like, all of these things you sometimes don't know, but again, we do. Someone who has done a launch does know what to look for and what to test for. Those are
Yeah.
certainly things that, and again, you don't want to be consuming yourself with, oh, I got to go and test all of these pages now, and I got to make sure that they were live and they were published. I mean, I don't know how many times we still even freak out with our extensive checklist of like, hey, have we quality checked all of these items? It still is one thing where Greta and I will even go through like real quick. Let's just like run through this real quick and we'll test booking links and we'll do all of these things. Our clients know when we're testing things because they'll get like tens of notifications like in a row of 10, 12 different opt-ins because we didn't like what it looked like or something.
I know. I was laughing because when you said booking link that one night when we were testing the booking link, and you were like, third time's the charm.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to do it 4 times. Fifth time's the charm.
It's gonna work this time. Don't worry. We're gonna and then sometimes it's too much. Then we're like, okay, that's enough.
And again, to like reaffirm, you could quality check your own stuff. The thing is that we typically are to the last minute, right? Like, ooh, and then you don't quality check everything because you're like, well, the first 2 parts worked fine. I'm sure the rest is fine, right? Like, and then you don't look at your email sequence, and then you don't test your links to see if the Zoom link is properly linked to the Zoom link you want it to go to. I am not speaking from experience at all when we did things and didn't use it our team. 'Cause we think we don't need a team. Even we need a team.
We do. We do need a team. That's why we have a team. And by the way, Greta did mention that you'll get X amount of hours of support, but having a team, and by the way, we also have a 1 and a 2 on a team
Mm,
because you just never know. Like, you can't change launch day. Okay. When it comes to launch, you can't change launch day. You can't change ads go live day. There's no changing that. Okay. We have data to prove that this is when this happens. And Greta will not be very happy if we don't go by these data points. Okay. So we know how to get the most success and out of the time frame that we have and with the budget. We're usually dealing with, sometimes we start off with strict budgets to warm you up. But if we don't start, then we don't get the results. We don't make the impact. We don't connect with those customers. They get lost. And so to make sure everything happens on time, we have a 1 and a 2. So no matter what, everything is getting executed. So you can then, like Greta said, take a deep breath. Our clients can be like, okay, because so and so was sick or because so and so had a planned vacation, these things are still happening in my funnel. My things are still being executed. Yes, 100%. Absolutely. And if those ones and twos don't, guess what? Greta and I are number 3. And we're up and we're able to execute those items. So you're buying, like Greta said, you're buying peace of mind, you're buying security, you're buying the plan, and that the plan is going to get executed no matter what, right? We are planning for any and everything that might happen. And that would be the worst if you just spent $1,500 on ads and then it comes down and like something's broken on this and like you don't know how to
can't get a
fix it.
hold of the person.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can't get a hold of the person.
Talk to me about, because I feel like this is more your area of expertise. Because I obviously handle a lot of the build and the automation and that piece, but I think one kind of unique element that we add to launches are the phone calls and the support day of, like, during the live launch. So can you talk to me about why that was important to you? Because that was, like, 100% you drove that. Now I have data to back up why we do it, but
Why? Okay, confirmation calls. Why? One, and you've probably seen this if you're involved in the online community and launch world at all, is that people don't trust people anymore. They've been burned. They don't know who you are. They've seen these ads online. Is this a real person? Is this an AI person? Who is this person? I don't know. So the calls give a way for you to connect. People are seeking connection. They're seeking to be heard. They want someone to listen to their pain. So that's one of the things is to when people are able to express it out there, they're starting to build trust with you and your brand. How many people, I don't know very many people, are calling their live registrants and saying, "Hey, I'm so glad that you're going to be on. Would love to answer your question live. What questions do you have so that we can be able to support you?" So it's going to make you stand out. They're going to remember you, right? That's the first thing. And also, it increases show up rate. People forget. I mean, yes, you send text messages, yes, you send emails, but life is busy. And again, people are receiving tons of messages, emails, spam messages, all of that. You are going to stand out. You're going to be able to talk to them. It's going to, like, you're going to be able to build that relationship and get them to put it on their calendar. Think about this when you're talking to somebody over the phone and you commit and say, "Yes, I'm going to be there." And I say, "Greta, I'm gonna look for you. Like, I'm so excited for you to join tonight. Like, we have over 200 people joining us. I can't wait to interact with you and I can't wait to see you." Like, you don't want to let that person down. When you've done that verbally, you're less likely to let that person down. So there's definitely a psychology behind building that relationship, but also holding people to commitment. And yes, and you're gonna say, "Judy, well, they still don't show up." Well, yes, there's still some people are still not going to show up, but that's on them. The people who are meant for you and who appreciate that and who are committed to what they say they're going to do are going to show up. And they're committed to getting away from that pain are going to show up. And we have scripts that we provide to the teams and that we work with, whether it's us doing confirmation calls. Sometimes it's Greta and I doing the confirmation calls at the beginning, and then we might hire somebody to come in after we've trained them, but we make them specific to whatever it is that you're trying to attract and
I
sell.
do wanna emphasize these are not sales calls. These are not calls to try to get them to book a call. It's not the next step. It literally is, "Hey, I'm calling on behalf of Judy. She is so excited to see you tonight. She prioritizes answering questions during a portion of the thing, and we would love to have your question be one of the ones that gets answered."
Mm.
When you registered for this, did you have any questions in mind that you were hoping would get answered during the call? And it's literally like engaging in a meaningful conversation. Like, you matter as a human being to the person who is running this
Yeah.
masterclass.
Yeah. Yeah, certainly. And we even will say, like, "Saw you registered on this date, and through this," like, we'll have obviously, if you're using the correct CRM, you're gonna have all that information and all of that data. Like I said, it's very, very meaningful and very intentional, and we only work with clients who care, so
Yeah.
if you're like, "Would you do my client?" Well, we only work with clients who care, so
Yeah.
so that's where those come in. Now the day of support, Greta, so I'm gonna shift to day of support. So, and let me know if I'm tracking. The day of support is really where we have the task list of all the final things that we need to do that day. And it's a long list of things to be able to support you as the client. If you're the presenter of the webinar, we have a full track of, hey, don't forget to check off these items, right? By the way, even though you've used Zoom 1,000 times, having a checklist of things that you have to do before you get on, right, is super, super helpful before, especially if you're not doing these very often. Some people are doing these quarterly, like when, like you're not gonna remember. You don't need to. Your brain shouldn't be there.
Also, you're gonna have adrenaline. There's gonna be like a lot of other. So just from like a well, I've never forgotten to hit record. Listen, we even sometimes forget to hit
No, no,
record.
no.
Like, nope, I'm gonna check that box to make sure I hit record because like the adrenaline's pumping, you're super excited to get going. You don't have a checklist and it's gone.
And then, oops.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say again? Where am I? Yeah, so we do have that, and it's for everyone on your team, like, it's not just your checklist. The tech team has a checklist that they're running through, right? Even the ads team has a checklist that they're running through because 'cause we're turning off ads, we're starting new ones for the next round, and then the team also has a checklist making sure that, last minute things for people who are trying to jump on. So that is providing you, again, peace of mind. If you're running a live webinar, why not have these items? It doesn't hurt to have these items. It helps you execute flawlessly, quote unquote, as much as you can for your webinar. And if you don't, all of these things matter because you need to know how to improve next time. And we use data, but we also use checklists to help us make sure that we're doing the same thing at the same time every single time. Otherwise, how are we going to improve for the next time, right? And it also keeps the team engaged and provides them support as well. So, another thing that we do before, and you may be well equipped to do this. I'm not sure because there's so many trainings out there. Like Russell Brunson has the perfect webinar training, all of these trainings out there. But when you're running a live masterclass, a live webinar, a live training, it doesn't hurt to have someone go through your script, to go
Mm,
through and dial it in and to say, "Hey, what are things that we could do?" And this is all in the prep work of what we do, and we outline it, and we have you almost record it like at least 3 times or run some dry runs. But also, if you're fortunate to have people who are knowledgeable in sales will say, "Oh, that didn't hit during this time." So, to talk about day of, but even post event, we go through and we talk about the data immediately while it's right in our mind and say, "Oh, 10% fell off right at the offer." Okay. Or 10% fell off during your story. Okay, well, there's something wrong with the story
the
there.
story is too long. It's not hitting, like, it doesn't feel authentic, whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So to have people to be able to talk about that and make those changes, talk about speed, right? Speed to be able to have the result that you want. If you're able to make those changes immediately after your webinar, think about how amazing it's going to be the next time around. You're not just trying to run the same, like, if you didn't close, you probably shouldn't run the webinar the exact same way the very next time.
Okay, not because I know you're not gonna toot your own horn. Toot toot. We don't really have a ton of drop off for the webinars, trainings, master classes that we run. And I did fast forward us pretty far because within the first month, it's typically like a 4-month process, which don't freak out. 4 months sounds like a really long time, but we've tried to make it shorter and people cannot handle it. So 4 months includes post launch as well. But in the time leading up to that live masterclass, within the first 2 weeks, Judy is basically having you have a rough skeleton of your slides and record that first version that's going to be like something that you hope never gets watched again after it's been watched the first time. Because Judy is an absolute master at weaving together all of the different pieces, which is why we very rarely have a drop off when it comes time to pitch the offer. We actually like have it where we usually meet as a team after the launch and we have to close down the Zoom room because people are like they just want to like stay and learn more and like hear more and we're like you have got to go because we need to talk as a team. So I can't believe I didn't toot your horn or and I know you wouldn't of like there is a process like when you wish somebody would just listen to you say the same things over and over again and some of us force our spouses or best friends or significant others and you're like can't you just give me some like real meaningful feedback and they're like falling asleep on the couch. Like Judy is the person who will listen to your webinar over and over for like little nuances of like ooh that story was good but like you should hit here and then like that's it end of the story. Like you don't need to keep talking for 4 more minutes. So yeah, I left that part out. I don't know if you want to talk more about your process.
Yes. Okay. Webinars, masterclass, whatever you want to call it, is one of my favorite things. It's where I learned about internet marketing like 14 years ago. If you just a quick story about how I learned about it 14 years ago. Um, was working for a company and that's what we did. We did VSLs and webinars, and I loved that the comments people would leave, like the impact that you have, even if they don't buy, what the webinar does is it gives them hope to get from their pain point that there's a solution. Like whether they leave and usually a webinar will give them like a solution. Like usually you are providing them with a solution. If they go out and implement things that we give them during our clients' webinars, they will make money. They will have success. Like
Yeah, that's our favorite ones.
yeah, those are like that we never deliver a webinar without providing value, and they get so much value from a webinar. So, one, I love them because of what they do for people's lives, but how we craft that to get them to see themselves in your seat as an avatar and to tell that story. I don't know, it just lights me up. It makes me so happy to be able to deliver your message, to be able to deliver your offer and say like this is possible for you too. Whatever it is, whatever hasn't worked for you, this is possible for you too. And we're going to work with you to make this possible if you want us to, if you want to take the steps to do so. So that's why I love the perfect webinar because you're able to impact more people quickly. And people out there need you and they need your solution, right? And I love crafting in a way that doesn't make it feel salesy. It's never, if you at the end feel gross, feel icky after your webinar and you feel like, I just felt like I was selling the entire time. It should never feel that way.
Yeah, these aren't infomercials.
Yeah, I call yeah, exactly. I call them info-nars. I'll watch them because I watched your previous webinar if you did do something, and I'll be like, "That was an info-nar. We do not want info-nars, okay? We don't want those. Like, those should not be it. You're literally relating to your audience and sharing how you got there and sharing the results and the results that they could have if they gave it their all, right? If they gave it their all. Your solution is if they give it their all and start implementing these things, and your program is the solution for what they've been looking for. So I do love listening to everybody's stories because I love crafting it and making it better and improving it. So much so that I do it a lot on my own. Free time in my head all the time. So why not? Why not just do it? And I'll do it over and over and over again. And yes, it's gonna suck the first few times. You're not gonna like it. It's gonna feel weird. It's gonna feel weird talking about yourself. It's gonna feel weird talking about your story and talking about your program. But once we get over that part, and it's the same thing, like whatever you're probably teaching in your offer is what Greta and I are teaching you for your launch and for your webinar. It's
Yeah.
literally the same thing. It's going to feel a little uncomfortable at first, but once it clicks and once those 10 people go to 100 people, you're going to feel the adrenaline and you're going to feel the rush like Greta and I do every time we do a launch and say, I want to do more of these because I want to help more people. Like that was amazing. You're going to feel so good afterwards. And I mean, if you are someone that's like, I want to impact more people, I want to impact people on a large scale, then launches, webinars, masterclasses are where it's at. And you get to improve on so many different ways. And again, like I said, even if they don't buy, those other 490 people of the 500 people who signed up for your webinar or masterclass are going to get some sort of value and be able to make a change. And even if that piece of value is just 1% more belief that they can do it and that they can still keep going the very next day, then wouldn't it be worth it? That's why I'm so passionate about launches. I'm sure we'll have a whole nother thing on your webinar and your quote
Oh,
unquote.
for sure. Um, and then the only piece that we're missing is that we always have team members on with you. So it's super easy to get distracted by the chat. So we have somebody managing the chat, like, hey, thanks so much for that question. We capture it on a questions sheet for the Q&A time. So you don't have to be worried if you're missing questions, if somebody's having audio issues, whatever things that is not for you to think about. So we have somebody on there. Like Judy said, we're looking at drop offs. So we're keeping track X number of people on at this time, X number of people on at this time. We're dropping links. Sometimes they are planned, and sometimes you'll just
Huh?
decide to randomly mention a book, and we're quickly going and finding it on Amazon because we know that the next question is going to be, what was that book he just said? Right. And we don't want you to have to go back. So we're quickly, like little squirrels behind the scenes, dropping any links of things that you're recommending. Basically, we make it so all you have to do is show up. I say all.
But it's
Uh-oh.
it's an important part. We need you to show up.
Right.
Energized, ready to go, not exhausted from looking at all of the like Greta said, from making sure that I have all the links and I'm about to go into a room full of, 200, 500 people on my webinar and have to worry about if I'm gonna have to mute, Sally because she keeps coming off mute. Like we don't want you to have to worry about
That's
that.
true. We're muting Sally, we're letting people in from the waiting room, or if you decide to turn the waiting room off to let everybody in at once, we're returning back on the waiting room. We're spotlighting, we're pinning, there's a lot that goes on.
Writing down
And again,
questions.
you can handle it. I'm sure if you've done lives before, you did it all, but wouldn't it be nice
Yeah.
if you didn't have to handle it all? I promise you, it's nice.
Yeah, and you'll go into the flow, right? Like, you'll go into the flow. Like, imagine if you were an NBA player playing a game and you had to go up and say, "I just scored 2 points every time," and, like, make sure like, doesn't that sound a little ridiculous? I think that's a little ridiculous, right? Like, to be like, "Oh, did you see my assist on there?" Like, let's not do that. I think another thing, Greta, like, if we talk about because everything we do is, yes, to make your life easier, to make it tactical, but a launch team is about strategy, and behind that strategy is always the psychology of what your ideal clients and customers are thinking. And when you say my team is jotting down your question. When you say, my team is going to drop the link, you go from this status to this status to them.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? So, like, you are,
Also, they feel cared for too.
yeah.
Like,
And they know,
you're
like,
not just gonna be a number.
that. Exactly. And like, there are people that have their back. Like, there are people that have their back, not one person, not just you as a coach, but they're going to have people that have their back as well. And so I think, like, yes, it gives you all of those things, but it also puts that person in a spotlight of like, oh, that person called me. That same person who called me is on.
Yeah.
They're on. And like, oh, I can count on them. So like now that again, you're building that relationship, you're building that trust. They're commenting, they're liking, they're here, they're on camera, they show up, right? Like, oh, there are people that show up for you because believe it or not, there are people and companies out there who don't show up. And there are people known in the space where, by the way, we've probably hacked your funnel. We're probably in there in some names, in some way, shape, or form, but they don't show up when they say they're
Yeah.
going to all the time.
I'm laughing, Judy, because I'm also like, hey, if you're still listening at this point, because this is going to end up being one of our longest podcasts, because you don't even realize how many team members. I mean, and like I said, some of these are duplicate team members, but also how much goes into it. Because I started laughing because our clients usually, like, they finish that 90-minute webinar and they're like, oh, okay, thanks. That's done.
I know. I'm done now.
I'm done. And like, I'm like, bro, I got like 3 hours left of work because we then have like specific people who are capturing the data of who attended and who didn't. And there isn't a perfect software yet, unless you're doing like the crazy expensive version of Zoom that will capture that for you. So we're literally going through your names of the people who were on the call and sorting them because we send different emails and text messages if you attended or you didn't, because there's strategy in that, right? Like, we want to know I see you as a person. I'm not going to just blast the same email to everybody. I recognize that you didn't make it, and that's because life gets busy. So, here, would you like a solution that would speed things up for you that you don't have to watch a 90-minute masterclass versus somebody who came, were like, wow, wasn't that amazing information? Just to recap, here are the 3 things we discussed as the action steps. Can't wait to hear which one you do first, right? So, it's completely separate. So, like, we're sorting those. We're also processing your replay. So we want you to be able to share your replay. We have all the time people are like, well, I came, but my spouse couldn't. I heard all these amazing things. Do you have a replay I can show my spouse? Well, yes, we do, because we've processed it. We've added captions. We've cut out filler words. There might be parts in the Q&A that got a little bit long. So we're cutting out things that maybe aren't applicable. Just like the sheer volume of stuff that then is like, you get to go to bed. That
Yeah.
night.
And you should. You
And
should
you
go to
should.
bed. Wait, we're not complaining about this work that we have
No,
to do.
no, I love it. I'm just
Yes,
saying
we
it's
do
funny,
enjoy
like,
it.
when you think about it, I'm like, "Man, we didn't even talk about, like, the post-launch people."
No. We didn't talk about the post-launch team. Yeah, your team is doing a lot on the back end post-launch, and we're also then providing that data to the ads team, right? The ads team, the marketing team. And if you're someone that has a high ticket offer, sometimes you have a sales team who are providing the information to the sales team as well. So they know what to execute and how to execute their next steps as well. And continuing, like Greta said, we're continuing to nurture. And oh, by the way, business still has to run. Your
Right.
social media still has to get updated, right? You still have to focus on delivery and all of these things. But as far as the launch stuff goes, we're making sure that we're executing all of those steps. And if you have people who are attending your webinar or who weren't able to attend, we're getting a lot of messages from that
Yes,
too.
a lot of messages. "Oh, man, I really wanted to. Is there another one in the future?" "Sure, let me get you registered for that, the next
Mhm.
upcoming one."
Perfect.
Or, "I wanna learn about it sooner. Can I book a call?" "Absolutely. Here's the link to do that," right? There's an influx of messages in the 72 hours post-launch, um,
Mhm.
and it's so exciting. I mean, me and Judy say, like, that's, like, our, like, total adrenaline rush. Like, some people jump out of planes, we just have launches and get
There you
to
go. Come have a lunch with us. Okay, so obviously there are other launch team members that we didn't mention, but we would say like these are the ones that you start with. And if you're lucky enough, you're going to be able to find 2 to 3 people who can do those things. And not do those things like none of these are like quote unquote full-time jobs, right? Like your media buyer isn't working 40 hours a week during your first launch. Like it's not going to happen. Um and so Greta, we also haven't discussed this. Budget-wise for your first launch for your team.
I mean, I personally think if you're going to invest in a team, you're going to want to invest in a team who's done it before, like, go all in, right? And so I would say the minimum that you're gonna spend is 10K for
Yeah.
4 months of support. I mean, again, like, you're looking at 4 months of support. It's prep, it's launch, it's post-launch. So you may be like, 10K, but, like, that's, like, a little bit less than 3K per month. If you think about having a team of 2 to 5 people who are supporting you, that's actually your I mean, in my mind, I'm kind of like, "Oh, that's a bargain."
Totally, because we've seen people work with agencies who have said, like, "I went with a team and I paid them $15,000." And we said, "$15,000 for what?" And it was for the automation build. I'm like, "But yeah, no support." Like, we didn't like, nothing, no scripting, anything. So, when you think about that, think about your offer and what you're paying, because usually, like I said, 10K for 4 months of support in the long scheme of things isn't very much because if you're selling one high ticket offer,
You
right?
paid for it.
You've paid for it. You've paid for it. Like, just think if you just sold one high ticket offer, and for us, high ticket is usually our clients are usually 10K. They might start off lower than that, but we get you up to 10K pretty quickly if your offer is below that. You'll be able to see. And we've learned from mentors that are like, hey, I'm selling the same what I thought was a $297 offer for thousands of dollars, right? It's just about what you're packaging into your offer. But with one, you'll be able to recoup that. Now, there's other ways that you can hire a team. And by the way, when you think about this, is you can do lower. I've seen lower where you say, oh, I might do 7K plus a percent. So those are a couple ways to work it. If you're just like, I'm not so sure about this team, I'm not sure. Um, that's another option to work with a team as well. But like work with a team that has gotten results and really like have them show you their funnel, have them show you what they've built, have them show you their processes before making a decision. And again, you're buying their years of knowledge and their network. And you don't have anything to lose because you probably have already spent that in some way, shape, or form. And you don't
For
and again,
sure.
you don't wanna spend 5K in ad spend and be like, "I got 0 leads."
Yeah. Now you just said 5K, which again may have caused people's heart rates to rise.
Up
I typically recommend for your first month that you have 1,500 available to play with. A portion of that will end up going to your reach campaigns, which we'll do some podcast episodes on ads and types of ads. But you usually end up spending between like 2 and 400 on reach, which is like warming up your pixel, getting people interested. And then the remainder of it is leads for your live event. You could do less than that, but I feel like 1,500 is a pretty solid budget to be able to, for your media buyer, to be able to test some strategies, figure out what works best, and then ultimately dump the bulk of the money into the ads that are performing the best. If you go under the 1,500, you're a little bit more like hands tied, like we hope this works out the gate. It does sometimes work right out the gate. And if things are going well, you could say, can I spend a little less? You probably won't want to because you're getting leads for like $4. But yeah, I mean, I feel like 1,500 is the amount you should spend.
Yes, it's a good starting amount for what to spend, for sure, for sure.
Yeah. So I feel like we have to end it here because, like I said, this is going to be probably one of the longest podcasts you listen to. And I feel like that only reaffirms, like you asked me at the very beginning of this, Judy, why should somebody not do this on their own? It literally took us almost an hour. It may get cut down in the podcast land of editing to get through just what our team does.
And we didn't even get through everything.
I was going to say, and we didn't even like talk through all of the things.
Yeah.
So when you're running a launch that's going to get you 6 figures, because we run 6-figure launches pretty frequently, these are all of the pieces. Can you do it on a smaller scale and make less? Maybe. But why would you want to?
Yeah. Why would you want to?
Okay, so thanks so much for tuning in. We're super excited to have each and every one of you listening, and we can't wait to continue to talk about all the things that we love and we're passionate about.
Yeah. We'll see you next time.
That's a wrap on today's episode. I hope this gave you some clarity and, more importantly, the confidence to simplify and scale your business without adding to your plate. Before you go, I have a quick favor to ask. Leave a quick review and get a coffee on us. Reviews help more business owners like you find the podcast, and we love reaching them. As a thank you, each week we'll randomly pick a reviewer to win a coffee on us. Starbucks or Dunkin', you pick. Just leave a review, screenshot it, and send it to us on IG at Bringing Simplicity to Enter. And if you could use more simplicity in your biz, be sure to hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. That's it for today. Thanks for hanging out with us. Talk to you next week.